Press and record. Flies and all that. Thanks. Was I covered in flies? No, fly brows. Let's annoy everyone at the yacht club. Are you comfy? Yeah? Good? Okay. Right guys, welcome back to my channel. Thanks very much for joining. If you are joining me today, you're probably looking at an MT10 and if it's good for touring or passenger use. I've got a lot of questions about this lately, so I thought I'd do a quick video on it. And it's a very nice day today, looking upwards for 2023. If that interests you, stick around and we shall get into it. I'll catch you in a sec. So guys, the MT10 and its passenger use touring question. I've taken this bike on a tour, just over 2,000 miles, and as you can see, well, I don't know if you can see, but I have a passenger on board now. I get this question a lot, like, is it any good for touring? Is there anything you recommend to do before touring it? And is it any good for taking, oh, this is a question I get, but taking the wife. Is it any good for taking the wife on the back, or passengers in general? And I guess that's for people that are looking to tour as couples. The answer is, yeah, well, for touring, great bike if you're alone. I had a lovely time on this bike touring it. I bought a comfort seat for it, which is an optional extra, which I thoroughly recommend. You can pick them up now between 100, 150 quid. Adds a little bit to the seat height, but it's well worth it, as it's like a more spongy seat. It's not slidey sort of cheap vinyl, a bit like the standard seat. This is a busy junction, isn't it? So the comfort seat did receive very good feedback from my passenger today. She likes it. She says it's really nice, makes a little bit of a better difference than the standard. But in her feedback, the overall experience of the passenger ride on an MT10 isn't the best. It's not the most comfy bike for her. She said the seat pegs are too high, which is fair enough. When I had a look, I did notice that you can actually fit the Yamaha Tracer foot pegs to the MT10. So if you are hell-bent on buying a Yamaha MT10 and you are going to use it for passenger rides, yeah, you can buy just the Tracer pegs, which is a nice little thing to bear in mind. So if your passenger doesn't like really high legs, like a sports bike for example, because these are quite high, they're not the worst, it's not like a full-on sports bike, but yeah, you can buy the Tracer pegs, which are a lot lower. That combined with the comfort seat, and you're going to have a little bit more of a comfortable ride. As far as touring goes, obviously the MT10 has fully adjustable suspension, both on the standard and the SP, so you can adjust it to your preferences. I'd totally suggest doing it, or learning how to do it, or getting it done professionally, so you can set it up for the best ride for you. 2,000 mile, well, if you're going to tour, you know, a couple thousand miles minimum, you're going to want suspension that's comfortable. I don't actually use this bike with the passenger on very often, although it does seem to be pretty good with it. I do it every now and again, and you know, it doesn't really upset the bike too much, which is a good thing. I used to have a KTM 790, and with someone on the back, it wasn't a good, it wasn't a nice experience. It's just the bike was just a bit too small for that. It's more of a super motory hooligan bike, I would say, the 790 and the 890. It's of course, if you buy an adventure, much more suited to a passenger. Personally, I'd probably, if I was buying this to do a tour with someone on the back, I'd probably, unless they're happy with it, I'd probably look something more adventure-y, like a Tracer or Multistrada, something, or a GS. How could I forget the GS? But yeah, much more comfortable for them, if that's something that bothers you or them. I've seen people with sports bike do tours, and people sat on the back of the sports bike, which is, you know, they were happy to do it, and they're nuts. It's their bum at the end of the day. So yeah, it's totally possible, and you can do a couple of things to help it, so I would let it totally put you off, but in my personal opinion, if I was to tour with a passenger, I'd probably look elsewhere and get something different. Then you could always swap it afterwards, and then the passenger can just hack a day or two on the back every now and again, because let's be honest, you don't really want to give up buying an MT10, do you? The MT10 as a tourer, I have been asked this question as well, like what's it like as a solo touring bike? My answer is great. Really good bike for touring. When I went away, I was super grateful, especially going over to France. The first the first 3 hours are like motorway, all the way to the Alps, all the way to sort of Troyes, which is generally the point where it gets good, I think. And yeah, you're going to be 3 hours on the motorway doing like 70-80 miles an hour. Cruise control was super nice to have. The suspension and the seating position of the MT10 is also really nice, so no complaints there. I was definitely not envious of my mates on their sports bikes and Gixxers. You know, they handled it really well, like champs, without cruise control, and you know, sat like that on their wrists for all day. You know, once we got into the mountains, you know, they had a much better time. But yeah, I was super happy with the MT10 for the tour, and especially with the few things that I did to it to make it just that little bit better, such as the comfort seat. When I bought my MT10, it had R1 rear sets on it, and honestly I couldn't stand it. It felt a bit wrong. Obviously the R1 rear sets fit straight onto the MT10, so the person before me wanted the ground clearance, I guess. I've never really thought that's, you know, I didn't really see the point. I can get my, well, I'm sure that anyone watching this, you get your knee down just fine with you know, standard MT rear sets, so I don't see the need really. I mean, if you were doing track days constantly on MT10, you probably would want to get a better, I wouldn't get R1, I'd just get a proper adjustable like Gillies rear sets or something like that. And yeah, I had a top box, which Givy do many top boxes for the MT10. Really good quality top boxes they are. I've done a review on one, which I'll click up in the box now if you want to look at that. I bought I think it's a 36 litre aluminium top box, which was really good. I really rate it. And I bought a random seat. I can't remember what the name of it is called now, the bit that it goes onto. Bought a random one on eBay, which is not the best looking, but it did the job, so pretty happy with that. As far as accessories go for the MT10 for like tours, you can buy so much stuff. You can buy hand guards, you can buy different wing mirrors, obviously, as most bikes. You can buy big screens, like big touring screens, and there's so much accessories that you can just put on one of these things, and I thoroughly recommend it. So for a solo touring bike, awesome. It's obviously got the power, it's got the grunt, it's nice and smooth. One thing I noticed as soon as I got an MT10 from a 790, how smooth the thing was. I was like, I can't even feel the engine rumble as much as the KTM. And I was kind of sold instantly. I bought one a week later after test riding an MT10. Had to have one. So yeah, as a solo rider bike, touring, perfect, really good bike. And once you get into the mountains, you're going to have such a good time. If you haven't done a tour on one of these, or if you haven't been to France at all, to be honest, you don't need an MT10 to do a tour, obviously, but you could do a tour and have a great time on any bike. I would argue a 125, you could even have a great time. So if you haven't done that and gone down into France and the Alps and Italy and all those sort of places, then just do it. It's so good. And I think it's the ultimate expression of, or the ultimate experience, let's say, on a motorbike. It's probably one of the best things I've ever done. Felt like completely free. It's a bit weird. You get a bit of tunnel vision when you're in the mountains. You get used to going around these corners so like quite fast and flowing, and after like a couple of hours of doing that, if you haven't stopped, it becomes a bit like a game. It's so strange. I don't know if anyone else has experienced that sort of feeling, but at that point I usually just pulled over and had a coffee, or we all pulled over as a group. We kept our stops quite regular. We were in no rush to really enjoy the place, and it was perfect. So yeah, if you're thinking of the touring and you think an MT10 might not be right, then yeah, think again. It's totally doable. It's really is a good bike to do it on. If you've got any questions, oh dear. Ugh. So yeah, that's it really, guys. If you have any questions regarding the tour or a passenger, any passenger sort of related questions, it can be anything. I honestly will get back to everyone. Yeah, feel free to pop them down below. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks very much for watching as always, and if you could give me a like and sub to this channel, I would love you forever. Take care for now. See you on the next one.